Hi, Professor Dunlap. This is Margaret Christophora with a persuasive speech on vaccinations. Politician Els Borst once said, "If everything is God's will, then so is the invention of the vaccine, just like a seatbelt. Vaccines keep us safer and healthier, just like a seatbelt. It's that simple." However, as long as vaccinations have existed, so have the controversies surrounding the medical miracles. Vaccinations affect everyone and work to keep everyone safe, including you guys. Those who aren't vaccinated are at risk for a countless amount of preventable diseases that can be detrimental for their health. Those that are vaccinated may have children that are too young to be vaccinated, put at risk by those unvaccinated and carrying diseases. Those that are vaccinated, but whose immune systems are weakened due to a disorder or disease, are at risk for catching these preventable diseases from unvaccinated people. I believe very strongly about this subject and the illegalization of not vaccinating children, and have written 3 separate papers on this topic. These papers have involved extensive research and time spent poring over the subject. Although it is not legally required to vaccinate your children, I think this needs to change, as many of those choosing not to vaccinate are doing it for the wrong reasons. Society should not be able to use personal reasons to justify not vaccinating their children. Vaccinations should be legally required for every child in the United States, as not only to prevent the child's own suffering, but as well as to prevent the suffering of those around them. Today I will first give you a general idea of what vaccines actually are and how they work. Then I will tell you about the many problems that are causing controversy, such as religious beliefs, personal beliefs, and the belief that vaccines cause autism. To begin, let's dive into the basics of vaccines, which is how vaccines work. Vaccines are used today to provide immunity against viruses such as measles, mumps, rubella, HPV, polio, and more, that used to cause deaths and serious illnesses years ago. Vaccines work by taking a bit of the weakened virus and inserting it into the human body, which here it shows the weakened strain going in, and then once it gets in the body, the immune system then comes in contact with it and finds a way to kill it. The vaccine is basically teaching your body through direct contact with the disease how to react and work to kill it. As the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases put it in their 2008 booklet, Understanding Vaccines, What They Do and How They Work, from this point, if one ever comes in contact with that virus again, the immune system will remember it and the lessons it learned from the vaccine, and it will be easily able to kill it, which here is another strain of it coming in, and the vaccine, the body knows from the vaccine how to kill it. This method has remained the same since the booklet came out because it is extremely effective and extensively researched. Being vaccinated not only saves us from illnesses, but it also protects infants and the elderly from sicknesses they have not been or are not yet vaccinated against. A simple shot can save so much pain and sickness, so the question is, why would anyone refuse themselves and their children the safety of immunity? Next, let's get into the real controversy surrounding the matter and look at one of the first problems that started this all: religion. When looking at one of the most popular excuses for not vaccinating one's children, the religious argument always presents itself boldly. A number of adults look to their religion when making any decisions, especially those medically. Many raise their children putting all their trust in God to protect them. For example, Vincent Iannelli writes in his article, "Which Religions Are Really Against Vaccines?" that the First Church of the Christ Scientists is heavily based on the idea that healing will occur through prayer and through God's will. This thought leads them to think, so why would we need vaccinations? When referring back to the introductory quote by Borst, does this mean that a person needs not to wear a seatbelt because it is in God's hands if they live or die when they crash? Does this mean that a person does not need to wear a life jacket because it is in God's hands whether they drown or not? Does this mean that a person does not need to lock their doors because it is in God's hand whether they get robbed or not? There is a line when it comes to religion, and that line is where religion meets putting oneself in danger. Refusing vaccinations puts a person in danger when it is very easily to be protected. Also, another major component to take into consideration when looking at religious arguments is what most religions actually have to say on the matter. The majority of religions take a neutral stance on the topic of vaccinations, and many actually support vaccinations. It is the way people translate and twist the words of the religion that they find the motive to revolt against not only vaccinations but medicine itself. God offers guidance, but he ultimately granted us freedom of choice. Ultimately, it comes to the point where we have to look at the big picture and take care of ourselves. And if people saw this, they would realize that vaccines are genuinely a good thing. And this here shows that there are still some religions that think that their religion says that vaccines are against it, when in reality a majority of people don't see that. So it's kind of them looking at it one way and not seeing the bigger picture. Next, we will discuss a second problem causing this controversy: personal beliefs. This is another way that people use to defend their stance on anti-vaccinations. Many of these people believe that they can take care of their children through eating right, practicing good hygiene, and using organic products. According to Ward, Atwell, Meyer, Rokas, and Leask, authors of the article Understanding the Perceived Logic of Care by Vaccine Hesitant and Vaccine Refusing Parents, a qualitative study in Australia, many parents think that if they live natural lives and create good energy by raising their kids in the right environment, that they do not need vaccinations because their kids will never get sick. However, it does not matter how healthy a child or person is. If they come in contact with the virus, there's a chance they will get sick if they do not have the vaccination. After one child gets sick, it only has the potential to grow from here. There is the potential that they spread the disease through siblings and family, or even worse, the infected person spreads the disease to someone with a disease like cancer, in which the cancer-stricken immune system is extremely compromised and weak and cannot fight any infections, even if they have the vaccination. In unvaccinated families, there's the potential for things to spiral out of control, even if one contracts one of the extremely harmful viruses, as explained by Jioboo Song in his article Understanding Public Perceptions of Benefits and Risks of Childhood Vaccinations in the United States. It is comparable to a domino effect. If one goes down, so do the rest. Meanwhile, this is an easily resolvable problem. Get your kids vaccinated, then you don't have to worry about these dangerous outbreaks. This way you're not putting your kids' lives at stake, but also being courteous to those around you and not putting others' lives at stake. It's really as simple as that. Lastly, let's take a look at possibly the most popular idea that has contributed to this controversy. A final argument that many people make in regards to supporting their opinions on being pro-anti-vaccination is the supposed claim that vaccinations cause autism. Not only is this claim completely assumptuous in most cases, but it also is completely false and there's no evidence supporting it. It has been scientifically proven that there's absolutely no correlation between autism and vaccinations. The official website for autism, Autism Speaks, has even performed their own research and written their own article in 2015, No MMR, Autism Link in Large Study of Vaccinated versus Unvaccinated Kids. In this article, Autism Speaks declares that vaccinations do not cause or have any linkage to autism. This argument is only utilized by fearful parents taking unnecessary precautions for their children, or angry parents who need something to blame their child's special needs on. Autism is a horrible disorder, and it is frustrating that there's no known solid cause for it, but that does not mean that society can become reckless with its accusations. There's absolutely no linkage, it's in the science. You would think that facts would be enough, but for some hard-headed people, they choose to believe what they want. However, the key to this problem is education. Keep educating people, and eventually there will be no hope for those who choose to ignore the facts. So here, it shows in each age group that there's still a decent percent. It's not so much in the older group, but it seems as if the younger people are believing this and just disregarding facts. But it's still out there, and that obviously needs to be changed. In this speech, I could explain to you what vaccinations actually are and discredited many problems that have led to the creation of the anti-vaccination movement. Religious beliefs are often taken too literal, and too much trust is often placed within religion. There comes a point in time when you need to step back and take care of yourself. Personal beliefs often cloud the judgment of many parents, and those parents need to understand that they are not superheroes. They cannot protect their children from everything just because they love them. Finally, the idea that vaccinations cause autism is just a myth. It can be disproven by looking at the cold hard facts and by educating families. It should be illegal not to vaccinate your children. No one deserves to have their life at risk for something that can easily be preventable. Vaccines exist in order to serve the human race, not to be yet another topic for us to argue over. In conclusion, the overall question that derives from this controversy is, are we going to let speculation cloud our minds, or are we going to look at the facts and do what is scientifically and medically beneficial?